Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Choujin X Chapter 6. When we last left our heroes, the snake girl, whose name we learned is Nari, set up a test for Tokio to decide if she would, it seemed to be to decide if she would take her back to her mysterious employer, take him back to her mysterious employer, or just kill him. Tokio then kind of failed that test. It looked like Nari wanted him to transform into a more bestial form than his kind of half and half form. Either way, Tokio fails. He is caught by Nari. He kind of gives up when it feels like he's about to die. And he would have died there had it not been for the timely intervention of our young friend, Ely Otsuta. And yeah, with that, let's dive right on into Chapter 6, First Apostasy. I'm kind of curious, actually, what the series is doing with its chapter titles. Because it's only this chapter and I think chapter 3 have had chapter titles. And I don't know why some do and some don't. What exactly is the difference there? Either way, First Apostasy is our title here. Apostasy is a word that means the abandonment or renunciation of a religious or political belief. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Our image here, it does look maybe a little bit religious. Like the way that Ellie is framed, not just in the whole kind of cross-like arm pose that she's got going on there, but something about the background around her. Same with the background around Nari. Both kind of seem religious. I don't know. Either way, jumping into the actual plot, we open with a flashback. As someone, judging by that second panel, I don't think it's Hoshi Sandek is talking to Ellie. Now that I think about it, there's a zoo around here, Ellie. Really? Think they've got heifers and stuff? Heifers? Maybe. Again, Ellie's sort of chafing with a sort of country dialect. Have you gotten used to your power? It hasn't even been 10 days since I turned into a Choujin, so when my feelings get messy, things get higgledy-piggledy, but... And the person kind of questions, higgledy-piggledy? Oh, like all over the place? And then Ellie all of a sudden gets a feeling. The same feeling that, either it's the same feeling that Tokio experienced back in Chapter 4, or it is her getting that same type of feeling, but about the fight going on at the zoo. And then she asks her companion, "Did you feel something just now?" "No, I didn't." "Oh, I see. But I know I felt something." And then this person kind of calls out, "Wait, Ellie?" And we come to the present, where she's here with Tokio, Nari is still there on the attack, and Ellie is here to hopefully defend our boy. As Ellie kind of takes stock of the situation, sort of sees Nari, and then sees Tokio kind of panicky. And then she calls out to Tokio, "Get up!" And Tokio kind of sits there as Nari approaches, turning her right arm into snakes to go on the attack again. And Ellie grabs Tokio. "I'm talking to you!" And then she just keeps on pulling. And Tokio reacts, "What do you think you're doing?" "Sorry." Oh no, that's Ellie's line. "What do you think you're doing?" And then Tokio apologizes. "Sorry, my body won't. I got a little poisoned." And Ellie seemingly... we have another line from Ellie, actually. "Gosh darn it! Come out!" And then she turns into smoke, which I guess as smoke, she has the strength to lift Tokio away. Shocking Nari. What? And Tokio's just stunned. Whoa! Oh, she didn't turn into smoke. She kind of used the smoke as like a rocket. I think we saw Chandra do that back in Chapter 2. But now we see Ellie has at least enough control over her powers to have that. And they just sort of fly away. Tokio is safe for now. We're flying, and Ellie's sort of straining to pull him. Gah! And then the smoke fizzles out, and they fall. "Huh? So high!" And Ellie tells him, "Get ready, we're going down." "What?" And they hit the ground, they roll. That would kill a normal person, but they seem to be mostly alright. As they hit the cement. And they just sort of land. Maybe still in the zoo? The scenery around them, I see what looks like a stage. And maybe a mini mountain or something. So that might be still just elsewhere in the zoo. Anyway, the two of them sort of lie there, kind of in pain. Ellie lets out a, "Yee, ouch!" And Tokio just, ugh. And then he looks over at Ellie. Is this girl a Choujin too? And he looks over, and Ellie is now like laying out on her back. She tried to save me, but it's no use as Nari is there. They did not get far enough away. They are clearly still in the zoo. And Nari, we see both of her hands are now masses of snakes. And she looks over at Ellie. Who the hell are you? Are you Sandak's trainee? You don't look like it. Though we know that... Actually, there's an interesting thing, though, because previously, his name was spelled either Sandak or Sandek. It was either Sandek or AK. There it's spelled AQ. I'm curious if that's just a change in how the word is written, or if it means something, like maybe the Masked Man's organization kind of calls him a different thing. I don't know. Either way, Nari sort of looks at her. You're getting in the way of my assignment. And then she summons even more snakes from her arms and then tells Ellie, disappear, will you? And then all those snakes come rushing for Ellie. Ellie sort of undoes these bandages on her arm. I think maybe like to summon some smoke or something. And she yells, come out! And then something kind of drops on her palm. We see Ellie kind of straining, I guess, to summon her smoke. And Tokio's just watching this Choujin battle in utter shock. He has no idea what the fuck is going on. Which is kind of the vibe for the past couple of chapters for Tokio. And Ellie just like grits her teeth, come out! And then this huge cloud of smoke appears, blocking all of the snakes. They start to like all catch on fire. Nari is sort of blown back, and her head gets knocked off. Maybe like ghouls could regenerate a lot of things. I don't quite recall if they could regenerate their heads, though they might have been able to. I'm curious if Choujin can do the same, though. Anyway, she screams, so she's clearly still alive. Ah! Yeah! And Ellie just sort of, stands there kind of exhausted, still in her like mid-battle pose. And Tokio just looks on. That was amazing! She burned her with flames or something! And we see the smoke continues to rise as Nari just sort of burns. But then says, now you've made me angry. And she's clearly alive, as she kind of smiles. Full beastification. And then, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, because it looks like we hear screaming, the smoke. I feel like I'm stuttering a lot, even more than usual this video, because I'm just not quite sure what I'm looking at. But the smoke is sort of this pillar, sort of risen to great heights, and we hear the screaming from throughout the pillar up to the top of the smoke. I feel like she's like coiled up in there. A giant snake. Ellie and Tokio both look on kind of shocked. What? And yeah, we see her full form in like almost color. She's a white snake Choujin, in case that wasn't obvious, named Nari, also obvious, with this cool gradient red background. It's a really neat thing there. I guess that's what you can do when you're not sort of bound to a magazine. And Tokio sort of looks on in shock. Full beastification? A monster. And he looks over at Ellie. How will she? And Ellie just gets whacked by Nari. Gets sent flying. She smashes into, like, the wall of the gorilla enclosure. And she kind of grits her teeth in pain. Tokio's sort of stunned at how easily Ellie was taken down. And Nari rushes at her. I'm killing you slowly. You stinking runt. And she kind of seemingly throws Ellie up in the air so that she can swallow her. I'm dragging this out. That's a cool looking panel though. We see like multiple Ellies as she's like in various states of being thrown up. Once as she's like headed towards the peak, and then her again at the peak of her being thrown, her vertical ascent, her coming back down. There's this cool kind of pattern on the ground as Tokio watches. The series, like the artistic shit going on in this series, it's some good shit that Isha can kind of do now that he's sort of free of of weekly serialization. Anyway, Ellie then kind of hits the ground after she's thrown, and Nari comes back on the attack, I think swallowing Ellie? Maybe? Or maybe not. She kind of continues, the hell? What is this crap? Excuse me, what is even happening? Oh no. So this might be one of the birds, actually. Ellie's not been swallowed. She's just on the ground somewhere. She coughs up some blood, and Tokyo's sort of panicking as we hear this voice talking to Tokyo, it sounds like. This cage is so annoying. I'm gonna jump rope with your guts. Just you wait, you little twerp. You little... So hold on, this bit here, it's still in the black speech bubble as this earlier conversation. The hell, what is this crap? Excuse me, what is even happening? But this bit feels more like Nari, angry at Ellie, whereas the earlier lines don't quite sound like Nari, unless Nari is just kind of frustrated that Ellie is here at all, which I suppose is a possibility, I guess. It's a little bit unclear, though. But anyway, Tokyo kind of gets into his thoughts again. What should I do? Wait, Azuma would have... What would Azuma do? Would he go over there anyway? So we're going to see here all the sort of mental issues Tokyo's been having this whole time are all coming to a head here. I'm assuming this line of thought will be what allows Tokyo to enter his own, if not full beastification, at least more beast than he is right now. And hopefully from full beast he can revert into normal form. I imagine the end of this chapter is going to be when Tokyo either turns into a full vulture or turns back into a full human. That's my guess for how this chapter is going to end. Anyway, Tokyo continues to think about Azuma. Would he go over there anyway? But I'd be a goner. Wait, but the little girl... And he keeps thinking, Azuma would have... And Ellie tells him, run. And Tokyo freezes. I think just the thought of being saved by a child like that is just almost too much for him. Run? And then this voice again. What is even happening? Where am I? Where am I stuck? This is why I hate this body. And I get dumber when I'm like this too. Oh, I think I know what's going on. I think that when she's in this giant form, she can't quite control herself. So she's kind of stuck. She tries to attack Ellie, but gets caught up in the cage, which is where we get the hell, what is this crap? Excuse me, what is even happening? This cage is so annoying, because she's now in the kind of gorilla cage. And then she then goes on to kind of threaten Ellie, and then we get back to her again. What is even happening? Where am I stuck? This is why I hate this body. A part of you kind of thinking that maybe there was some sort of other consciousness in Tokyo, like a more vulture kind of thing, which would tie in with this is why I hate this body. But that just feels... It feels more like anything inside Tokyo has not been there long enough to have those kinds of thoughts yet, I think. But yeah, I think it is Nari who's sort of gotten stuck somewhere. And Tokyo keeps thinking, how can she put other people first at times like this? What should I do? What can I do? He sort of looks down in shame and then looks up. And then we see this flash of like green fire or something. And just the silhouette of a bird. The use of color here is really striking. It's really good. I know it won't happen, but I hope when this gets its published volumes, they find a way to keep the color. Because the color works really fucking well. But yet, that bird in the green light is the vulture, who has seemingly escaped at some point in this commotion. And Tokyo looks up at it and kind of thinks, And then back to Nari, who's still shouting, oh, I think I got it. It's working. I'm getting it off. It's coming off. Off. This is it. And Tokyo sort of stands up. Nari sort of looks back at him. Both in her human form and her snake form. I'm curious if that human bit is sort of metaphorical. But yeah, Nari has sort of risen above her cage. And Tokyo starts, full beastification. To be continued. So with that, Tokyo has like found the inner strength he needs to save this girl and, if not become a human again, go full beast. And I'm assuming from there, work out how to go back to being human. Transformation is all the same concept, I guess. Like, if you can transform into a beast, you can transform back into a demi-human, for lack of a better term. And if you can transform from beast to demi-human, you can transform to human. I'm assuming is how this is going to work. But yeah, we get Tokyo, who has found the inner strength he needs to possibly get his beastification to work. Given how much trouble he's been having with transforming so far, maybe he'll have this whole dramatic climax and then fail anyway, which is certainly a possibility. And if not, then I think we need to kind of discuss what made it work. Are Choujin powers tied to sort of emotional resolve? That's what it most seems to me. I mean, maybe going back to what Ozma said about Choujins become the form they most want to be, and Tokio, by becoming who he most wants to be, someone who does not run away, someone who is more like Ozma, who rushes in to save the day. Maybe there's a connection there. And that is by becoming who he most wants to be that Tokio gets better control of his powers. Possibly. One of the things about the series is that its power mechanics are so unknown at this point, I'm really just guessing. I have no clue. I could be wrong on every count. Either way, it's still a fun chapter. Getting to see Ely sort of have some control over her powers. We haven't really seen her since she first learned about her powers and she ran off with Sandak after her fight with Chandra. But now she has not great control, but she can at least, for a little bit, sort of blast off and then create that smoke explosion that does some major damage to Nari. Not really permanent damage, but still damage. And then, I mean, it doesn't do much good against full Beastification Nari, but hopefully that's where Tokio can come in. You know, finding the strength he needs to sort of take his place as a Choujin. Again, I'm hoping this doesn't really become a theme. I hope that Ely is just as much a main character as Tokio. I sort of made that clear in my last video on this series. But yeah, with all of that, that's kind of where we leave off. Tokio now has the strength to hopefully go full vulture, if he couldn't go full human, which will hopefully help him fight Nari and do what he failed to do back in Chapter 5. But yeah, beyond that, I just can't wait to see how this all shakes up. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!